University of Wollongong, we're meeting the needs of an ever-changing world. Your world. It's what we stand for. Look, that's us. What do you see? A billion little dots beginning to connect, trying to figure out, why are we here? What if it's to find out how we all got started, to discover a totally new chapter in our story? Or is it to protect us from harm through intelligent clothing hardwired with minds and muscles of their own? What if 3D printers could print limbs and organs that we could use to save lives? Or could we use tweets to map flooding in real time to speed up disaster response? If our survival depended upon it, could we monitor and predict how carbon dioxide is transforming the Earth? Could we help change the course of our planet? At the University of Wollongong, we're meeting the needs of an ever-changing world. Your world. It's what we stand for.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Casey Coates and I'm the Postgraduate Coordinator here at the University of Wollongong. Tonight I also have with me Jake Parker, who works in Student Central, to help assist with any questions you may have throughout this live chat. Welcome, Jake.
Hi.
So to start off, in the first part of our online chat, I'll go through a series of topics on Commonwealth supported places that from my experience a lot of students ask about when commencing postgrad studies, especially when looking at the course fees of their program. So the topics in which this chat will include are: what is a Commonwealth supported place, fee options for postgraduate programs, entry requirements and eligibility for CSP programs, and how to apply for CSP. So how this live chat works, so I'll run through a webinar which will appear on your screen, but at the same time I run through this presentation, you'll have the opportunity to ask questions. So all you need to do is go down to the drop-down menu that is titled Questions, and you can type in your question there. We'll answer questions as we go, but for those participants who have already submitted inquiries when they registered, you may find majority of your questions are answered throughout this presentation, but I'll also go over these at the end to ensure your question is answered. So feel free, start asking questions whenever they pop up, and we'll go from there. So to start off, and before I touch on Commonwealth supported place information, let's start to talk about why students look to study postgraduate degrees. Some students are looking to go to that next step in their career and need formal training and new skills to be eligible for those positions, and or as a signal that they are serious about stepping up in their field. We all know that employers value people who are not willing to sit still on what they know, and being the person with a postgraduate degree can clearly set you apart from the rest. Other students have said to me, I'm passionate about my area and I want to be the best they can in their field. So postgraduate study is quite different to undergraduate studies. While you might still attend lectures or tutorials, the way it is conducted is very different. You're in smaller groups and the people who you are studying with are very passionate about their topics and they bring a lot of different experience and knowledge from, say, their work environment into the classroom. You also have a closer relationship with your lecturers and course coordinators and have the opportunity to speak or meet with them if you ever have any questions or want to learn more about a topic. The last group of students who want to pursue postgraduate studies are those looking for a new career or looking to retrain with new skills. UOW has many courses that allow students to enter from a different educational background. An example of this is a lot of students who study undergraduate degrees such as engineering may look to then move into a postgraduate degree such as in a Master of Science or Master of Business Administration field. And so this is just ensuring that they've had their practical experience in their undergraduate degree, but then also are gaining their management experience in their postgraduate. So it's a good balance for them. So if you have any specific detailed course questions, feel free, we'll pop in later in the chat an email address to future students that you can direct any inquiries to, and we'll be able to contact you after that. So moving into postgraduate study areas. So there are a range of coursework graduate certificate programs and master's programs available from the above disciplines. So there's a wide range of choices you have on offer. And please keep an eye out throughout the year as we host course-specific live chats, which may be related to your particular course of interest. And I'll just get Jake soon to pop that live chat webpage into the feed, just so you can access it and see what future ones are coming up and if you'd like to register for them. We also have a spot on that webpage where you can go back and re-watch webinars and live chats as well. So if you've missed any that we've done previously in January or December, you'll have the option to go back and watch them for your information. So to start off, I wanted to touch base on what a Commonwealth supported place actually is. A lot of students hear this term being mentioned when looking at postgrad study and actually aren't too aware of what it is and what it means for them. So in short, a Commonwealth supported place is where the Australian government subsidises up to 3/4 of your total tuition fee of your program. So if you're an eligible Commonwealth supported student, you can also access, which is called HEX help, to defer all or part of your tuition studies. Now please note that Commonwealth supported places are only available to Australian citizens and students on humanitarian visas or permanent residency visa students.
I'll just correct you there. Permanent residency visa students, they will receive a Commonwealth supported place, but they will not be eligible for the HEX loan, which Australian citizens and humanitarians are eligible for. So the way we bill permanent resident students is they would just pay their fees by the census date for each semester or trimester if you're doing postgraduate business.
Perfect, thank you. Lovely. So moving into postgraduate fee options. So in terms of course fees, UOW's postgraduate programs either have what's called Commonwealth supported places or full fee paying courses. Now all postgraduate students pay tuition fees. However, a range of courses have a number of CSPs available in them. As mentioned before, CSPs are funded by the government and fund up to 3/4 of the cost of your degree. So if your course has a Commonwealth supported place available, the amount contributed towards your degree goes by different bands and the area you choose to study in. You will then need to pay the remaining fee amount, and this is called the student contribution amount. However, you can actually defer that part of the payment, and this is used as what's called HEX help. So if any of you listening out there have studied an undergraduate degree, you'd be very familiar with HEX. And this is pretty much a deferred payment of your tuition fees, and this is what you use for the student contribution amount. So we've got a question come through. So it's just saying this student works full time. How much time should I allocate for a postgraduate degree? So in short, postgraduate degree, depending what you're studying, majority of subjects have around 3 hours face-to-face time, and depending on what you're looking to study, will depend on if you can do it offline, which means you might be doing it by a distance or online, or if it's a face-to-face program. And I'll take you through the course finder soon, which will show you how you can figure out and find if the course you're interested in is either a distant mode or if it's a face-to-face mode. But usually students have 3 hours face-to-face class time. So depending on how many subjects you study, students who are working full-time, usually starting a postgrad degree, I recommend probably one subject just to start you off, and this will give you a feel for the hours and the additional work on assignments and exams that you have, and then you can work out if the next trimester or the next session if you would like to do 2 or more. So usually 3 hours face-to-face, with obviously the addition of work on assignments or exams leading up to that exam period. So just moving back to CSPs, if your program is not a Commonwealth supported place, it is then known as what is called a full fee paying course. And this means you'll need to pay the full course cost, but you can defer your payment using what's called fee help. Now this is very similar to HEX and is a deferred payment. And I'll show you how to find out if your program you're looking to study is a CSP or full fee paying course soon. Now, in a full fee paying course, the Australian government does not contribute towards your course cost studies. So you'll need to pay the tuition fee upfront for each subject in the course, and course fees are calculated per credit point based on your course of study. Now,
Question coming?
another question.
which I can put an answer.
Yeah, perfect. So we'll leave that over to you, Jake.
Let me see. Okay, so yeah, we do have another question come in. So they are basically asking, the Master of Education in Literacy, is it okay to study if you don't have an education background? And they would also like to know about online study, which is an option for all of our Master of Education courses. So I'll start with that. Basically, all of our Master of Education courses can be run online or on campus. So if you choose the online option, you won't ever need to come to the campus. All of your study will be done entirely online. In terms of the Master of Education in Literacy, we generally require a bachelor's degree plus at least 3 months teaching experience in Australian schools. That's for the Master of Education in Literacy itself. I do know for some of the other Master of Education majors, teaching experience isn't necessary, but for this particular one, we generally require 3 months teaching experience. But you are welcome to submit an application anyway, and we can assess you on a case-by-case basis.
Perfect. Thanks, Jake. So just back quickly on course fees. The exact course fees can be found on the course finder, and I'll take you through that very soon and show you how to find that in the course finder section. Other costs include the students undertaking courses, what's called a student amenities fee, which every student must pay, and this pretty much just goes to supporting and paying for student services and facilities on campus. So moving into entry requirements and Commonwealth supported place eligibility, I'll run you through what I've been mentioning for quite a while now, the course finder. So the first thing to do once you have chosen a particular postgraduate study area is to check the entry requirements for the program and ensure you meet the requirements and if there's an alternate pathway into your program if you don't meet direct entry. So you can view the entry requirements of the program in this course finder, and we'll also pop that in the live chat so you can access it in future as well. And from here, you can view all postgraduate course information. So entry requirements of the program, course structure, course details such as what campuses it's offered at, the length of the program, and the fees for the program as well. And in this fee section, which I'll show you, it will actually state if the program is a Commonwealth supported program or a full fee paying program. Now, just for your information, in most cases, to enter a master's degree, you do require a bachelor's. However, for some instances, such as maybe a business postgraduate degree, work experience may be enough for entry. But all this will be assessed on a case-by-case basis when you apply.
We just got another question coming in from Laura Burling. Laura asks, do we have to pay the remaining balance of the CSP upfront before the census date each session? For permanent residency visa holders, yes, you would need to pay the student contribution amount before the census date of each session. But if you are an Australian citizen or on a humanitarian visa, you will essentially have what's called a HEX loan. So, I mean, you can choose to pay up front if you want, but if you don't make that payment before the census date, we'll automatically shift you onto a HEX loan.
Perfect. Thanks, Jake. So just back to searching for entry requirements for your programs. If you find you don't meet the entry requirements, you can contact us as we can talk you through any alternate pathways into your program. And this is where we might look at a graduate certificate, for instance, which can be combined with a master's degree. And an example of this is I previously worked in the business faculty, and if we had students who applied for, say, a Master of Business, but didn't, say, meet the work experience requirements if they had them or the academic requirements, we would then offer as an alternate a grad cert, which leads into the Masters. And the great thing about this is that the subjects that you would complete in your graduate certificate program, you get credit for into your Masters. So ideally, you're still coming out with the same program in the end, and it's not taking any additional time as well. So I might just quickly run through the course finder now and just show you how to find if your course is a full fee paying course or if it's a CSP course. So just an example of this is we will go down to health and medicine, for instance. And on here, it will break it up into undergraduate degrees and postgraduate coursework and research degrees. So we click on, obviously, the postgrad section here, and then it will list under any discipline you're looking for what graduate certificates and what master's programs we have on offer. And just an example of this would be the Master of Nursing. So as I mentioned, Course Finder's pretty much got all the information about your program. So it's got a bit of a course summary. It will have information such as the course duration, if it's an on-campus delivery. Jake mentioned before, we were talking about the Master of Ed literacy, and a lot of the Master of Ed programs are offered online. And if that's the case, if you were looking this up on Course Finder, like this page, it would probably have distance there as well. So that would just indicate the different type of modes the course is offered in. We scroll down a bit further and go into Domestic Students tab here. This is where you'll find entry requirements for any program you're interested in. So it will actually specify if you need an undergraduate degree or if you need specific work experience prior to entering into the program. It also touches on credit transfer. So as I mentioned then, an example from business was if you got a pathway in, say, doing a grad cert into the Masters, it's very likely that you'd get credit from those subjects into that Masters program in the end. Now moving down, so this is probably the most important part for you to have a look at the moment. It's got a fees section on here. And in this, it will break up what the session fee is and what the full course fee is. But below it, it will mention if the course is a full fee paying course or a Commonwealth supported place. So for instance, the Master of Nursing here has the above tuition fee is the amount payable for a full fee paying place. However, Commonwealth supported places are also available in some of these coursework degrees subject to quota availability. And so what that means is there are CSP offers available for this program, but it will be assessed at the time of your application. So if they haven't reached their quota, then there are still available. They will put that on your offer letter when they send it back to you.
It's essentially just a first in, first served basis with that. So we'd encourage you to get your application in as soon as possible, just to maximise your chances of getting a CSP. Although it is unlikely that you won't receive one, but we still recommend putting in your application as soon as possible, just to maximise your chances.
Definitely, thank you. So I've had a question come through from Rebecca regarding CSPs for the Master of Education. So please note that the Master of Education do offer CSPs. However, they are subject to quota availability. So as Jake mentioned before, and I just went through on there, pretty much first in, best dressed. So if you can get all your documents in and your application in as soon as possible, it is a good chance that you will receive one on your offer letter.
And look, in the unlikely event that you don't receive one, if you're not too fussed about when you start your course, you can always apply for the next session of courses as well. So just because you didn't receive a CSP one round doesn't mean you're not ever going to get it again. You can essentially just apply for the next semester. But there hasn't been many cases of that happening, but that's a possible workaround if you don't mind starting at a later date and really want that CSP.
So moving on, a question I get asked a lot is how do I apply for a Commonwealth supported place? So the good thing is, as mentioned, if the course you're applying for is a CSP offered place, in most cases you don't actually have to apply for this. And if there is quota still available, you will automatically given this upon your offer. So as I mentioned, just getting your application as soon as possible. Now, if your course is a full fee paying course, you can apply for a CSP still, but it would need to be on the grounds of an equity base. So if you're looking to do this, you just need to advise admissions or future students. And what they will do is they will send you or forward you an application form and a questionnaire that you'll need to fill out. It just asks you certain details that will then be assessed by our equity manager here. And if that is approved for your full fee paying course, then the CSP will be put onto your offer letter and you'll be advised.
Yeah, just for your information, I provided earlier in the chat, one of those links is a more concise list of all the courses that automatically get considered for a CSP. If your desired course isn't on there, it's most likely that it's a full fee paying course, but then again, you are welcome to apply for a CSP on an equity basis for those courses.
Okay. And that leads me into the next slide, which is where I'm going to navigate you through just to find on our UOW website what courses for 2018 are actually eligible CSP courses. So I'll open that up now on the website. So in front of you now is our fees and assistance page. So this has all information for postgrad students, information on what a full fee paying course is, what a CSP is, and options of payments, etc. So if you go down here to Commonwealth supported places, you click on that link. Oops, where did it go?
Okay, let's just scroll up a little bit.
There we go. So we'll just provide you with information about how to access that. And then I'll also just pull up the list of how to find the CSP courses. So I might actually just type it in here and I'll show you how to find it. So a lot of the time, usually you can just type in course finder, or sorry, in the search engine, what you're looking for, and it will pop up. So I'll just put in here.
Commonwealth supported place.
Yep. Supported place. Click enter. And if we scroll down here to number 4, it has postgrad courses after it. We click on there. So this is a list of all the 2018 eligible CSP courses. So just have a look down here, get a feel for what courses are on offer and if the one you're interested in is there. But as Jake mentioned, if it's not there and it's a full fee paying course, you do have the option to apply on an equity basis as well. Yep. Perfect. There you go. We'll also pop that link, or Jake, you said you already popped that in?
Yeah, I've already put it in earlier.
Lovely. So you can access that in future whenever you want. And as I mentioned before, that fee and support website too has all the information that pretty much I'm going through now as well if you ever want to refer back to it.
Okay, we've got another question.
So we've got another question from Oleg come through, which says, is a CSP quota separated between the autumn and spring semester? Do I have more chances if I submit my application for spring semester?
Not necessarily. They generally have the same amount of CSPs set aside for each intake, so it doesn't really matter whether you get in, whether you apply for spring or autumn. You've got an equal chance, provided that you apply at a relatively early stage. But like I said, it is unlikely that you do get turned down for a CSP. It's just a possibility that we may run out.
Okay, thank you, Jake. So now I'll just touch on student contribution amounts for eligible CSPs. So in terms of if your program is CSP eligible, as I mentioned earlier, you'll need to pay the remainder of the course, which is what's called the student contribution amount. So students enrolled in a CSP place or course will either pay their student contributions up front or, if eligible, can access the HEX Help scheme. So to pay the remainder of their fees. So it's pretty much exactly like your undergraduate degree where you defer it and then it will come out of your weekly pay depending on how much you earn in your work. Now the government groups different areas of study into bands and it sets a minimum and maximum range that can be charged on a full-time study load. So as I mentioned, depending on what course you're studying will depend on what band it falls into, and this will determine how much of the student contribution amount you actually have to pay for your program. So I'll just quickly navigate you through what's on your screen now. You'll see in the presentation, and now to the Study Assist website. So this is a really helpful website in terms of anything to do with a fee help loan for a full fee paying course, anything to do with a HEX help loan, and anything to do with Commonwealth supported places and the student contribution amount. So this page, just scrolling down in front of you, has information such as what is a student contribution amount, and it just breaks up and shows you the different types of bands depending on the year. So here it's got table 2, which I've got highlighted here, 2018 student contribution bands and ranges. So this just goes by what field of study you're looking at doing. See, it's got commerce here, law, dentistry, then band 2 you've got different disciplines. And so that just changes the different amounts on what you would need to pay as that student contribution as part of your CSP program.
Bear in mind that figure there is the maximum that could be per year of full-time study. So obviously that amount is halved for graduate certificates, and if you're doing, say, like a 2-year master's course, well, that amount will be doubled. And I've also provided a link to this page in the chat just earlier.
Okay, thank you. So we'll now just move into some general information. So that's pretty much the information on the Commonwealth supported places. So if you have any additional questions around that, please feel free to pop them in the chat, because I'll just go over some general postgrad information and applying for postgrad courses now. So in front of you, you'll see the 2018 key dates for our programs. So majority of postgrad programs run on intakes from autumn and spring. So the next intake is autumn, and this commences on the 26th of February this year. And you'll see below that application closing dates are the 31st, so soon. So get in quick if you're looking to study postgrad. But please bear in mind some courses such as the Master of Nursing, etc. have already closed, but are still accepting late applications. So the link on your screen now, which will pop into, will just take you to those course dates and closing dates for applications. And if you find it already has closed, don't be alarmed. Feel free to send one through, as a lot of the programs are still offering late applications and offers. The other intake, so if you're not quite ready to study just yet and you're just considering it for this year, we have what's called our spring intake for this year. So that commences on the 23rd of July and applications close for that on the 30th of June. Now you'll also see below that what's called trimester 1, and it's got Sydney Business School next to that for University of Wollongong. And pretty much this means that Sydney Business School, so if you're interested in studying any business postgrad courses such as Master of Business, MBA, Master of Science, Logistics, Supply Chain, etc., Sydney Business School programs run on a trimester basis. So there's 3 intakes per year. And the next one commences on the 5th of February, and applications close the 26th, which is quite soon. So just letting you know that. So if you're looking at a business degree, they do run on different trimester-based systems to the other programs. Please also note, if anyone's interested in the Master of Teaching, you'll find this information on the website. However, just to let you know, all applications for this program are received by UAC, which is the University Admissions Centre now, not directly through UOW. So if you're looking to apply for that program, you can just even go to Google and type in UAC, and it'll pull up the information and how you can apply for that as well. So in terms of application steps, so once you find that you found the course that you want to do, you meet the entry requirements, you can do your application online. So if you pretty much just go to the home of the UOW webpage, it will have an Apply Now button, and you can apply online for free. And one of the major questions that comes up is for students who are applying and submitting documentation. So just bear in mind when you go to apply, if you are looking for, say, credit into a master's program, just make sure you've got any transcripts or prior information you need to be able to upload it at that time, so admissions can assess that. You can submit an application without all your documentation. However, just note that this may delay your offer coming out to you, as admissions will need to then contact you and ask for that additional info.
We generally also require most documents that you submit to be certified by a Justice of the Peace. If you're unable to do that straight away, just submit what you have and we can get the certification done later on. Or alternatively, you may also bring the originals into the campus counter in person. If we see the originals, that's essentially as good as having a Justice of the Peace certify them.
And a lot of the time we can give out what's called a conditional offer as well. So if you don't have, say, a certified transcript, we can issue an offer still, but it will just have what's called a condition on it. And once you then supply the certify, we can then clear that condition so you can enroll into your program.
And Dubrovka's just asked another question. I'll work on that while Katie is continuing the presentation. But yes, because there are a few Masters of Education courses which don't require teaching experience. So I'll find a few of those for you. But probably the best way to do it is to go to the the education section of the course finder, which I can send you a link to, and you can essentially just look under where it says domestic students, and you will be able to see what the entry requirements are. But I'll get that up for you in just a moment.
Perfect. So while Jake's looking at that, I'll just run through just a few things in regards to the application process. So applications are assessed by UOW admissions team. So once you submit them all online, or in MTeach case through the UAC, they'll be assessed for eligibility and entering into the program. In some instances, for instance, if I had studied a Master of Business and then I was looking to do my MBA program, I may be eligible for credit. And if this is the case, a lot of those applications seeking credit will go to our faculty for further assessment. So usually we don't take too long to process your offer, but bear in mind if you haven't got everything certified when you do submit directly, or if you're looking for credit into the programs, that it could take up to a few weeks. But usually if you submit your application with all documentation needed, we can process your offers, your offer within a few days. So I just wanted to touch on scholarships. So obviously a lot of our courses you'll find from looking at that link before are Commonwealth supported places, and the fees are already reduced, so there isn't too much of a large range of postgrad scholarships. However, we do offer a few, and that link, which we'll pop in the chat as well later for you, has all information, and you can navigate around that to see if you're eligible for any. Now, just touching on, I mentioned the Sydney Business School before, and that it runs on different trimester-based systems, etc. They also have some different domestic postgraduate scholarships as well. One of these is a domestic partial tuition scholarship, which is a 25% fee reduction. It's a competitive process, and they give out 10 per year, depending on what you're looking to study, or up to 15. And we also offer what's called WIMBA scholarships, so Women in MBA. So if you are a woman and you're looking to study the MBA, if you work in an organisation who are looking to sponsor you between 15 and 50%, UOW will actually match that offer. So, or the Sydney Business School, I should say, will match that offer. So potentially you could study your MBA for free, which is fantastic. So just have a look on the website if you're looking at studying business, and all the scholarship information for Sydney Business School will be up there for you.
Just back to Dubravka's question. So I just had a look through the course finder at all the Master of Education courses we have on offer. Essentially, the Master of Education Literacy is the only one that requires 3 months of teaching experience. All the other degrees basically just require a bachelor degree in any area. So you'll be basically eligible for all the other degrees. I have provided a link to the education section of our course finder there. So if you just click the postgraduate tab, it will open up all of the postgraduate education courses that we have, and you will notice under the domestic students section on each of those courses that you basically just need a bachelor degree for the majority of them, except for the Master of Education Literacy.
Okay, thanks, Jake. So moving on to something exciting this year, which is our alumni tuition fee waiver. So I just wanted to let anyone know that was listening, if you are a UOW alumni, which means you've completed your bachelor's degree at UOW campus or an overseas campus or teaching site, you may be eligible for a 10% tuition fee waiver. So this is available to international and domestic students studying at UOW in 2018. But please note, if you have or are studying a Commonwealth supported program, so if you have a CSP place you are given into a postgrad program, you aren't actually eligible for this 10% fee waiver. However, the good news is, if you have gone to that list and you find that the course you are studying or looking to study is not a Commonwealth supported place, you may be eligible for this fee waiver if you are a UOW undergraduate alumni. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're looking at fees and determining if your course that you're interested in is CSP or full fee paying, I should say.
I've just got a question come in from Duncan. He's saying he's enrolled in the Master of Education Literacy course, And you're supposed to complete a particular subject in the final session, but it's a spring session subject, and your session will be in the autumn session. Look, Duncan, I would probably recommend that you contact the current students team at Student Central. We're open between 9 AM and 5 PM Monday to Friday, so I'd recommend giving us a call. The phone number is 1300 275 869. Sorry, I just had to remember what it was. I will provide that there. It's basically 1300 ask UOW, and you can also email them at askuow@uow.edu.au, but I'll provide that in the chat for you.
Great, thank you. So starting at UOW, once you have applied and if you've received your offer, what to do next? And pretty much this is enrolling into your subjects to commence your program. And enrolment starts in January each year. So once you receive your offer letter and you go online and accept, and if you have no conditions on your offer, you will then be sent an email with information on how to enrol, and it will take you through to our enrolment system. And this system will pretty much navigate you through all your details, personal details, what subjects to enrol into, and once you hop out of that system, you will be enrolled in subjects for whatever session you're starting throughout that year. And where to get more help. So if you've got any further questions or looking for any information about postgraduate, just we'll pop this link into the live chat soon and you can access it. And it's just got, it's just our webpage where it's got information on anything postgraduate related. So it talks about course inquiries, entry requirements, pathways, how to apply for fees and CSP courses. So future students, where Jake works in Student Central, their team is always willing to help, so feel free to contact them at any point. We'll also pop in here the future students' general email address as well. So I think Jake might have just done that then.
Yeah, I did provide it earlier, but I will provide it again just for your information. So future students' contact details will be as follows.
Thank you. And just applying. So obviously applications for majority of courses are open until the 31st of January. So if you're looking to study for autumn session, get in as soon as you can and we'll process that offer letter for you. As mentioned, we also have spring intakes and other trimester intakes for Sydney Business School throughout the year. So if you're looking to start a little bit later, keep an eye out for those dates. But there is still time to apply as well. And as mentioned, for any of the courses whose applications have already closed, feel free to still submit an application as they are still looking to accept some late applications as well. So that's pretty much it from us. If you've got any questions, I'll just give you a couple of seconds to pop them in the live chat. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up and you can email future students in future if you've got any other specific questions. Perfect. Okay, so we don't look like we have any additional ones come through at the moment. So Jake's popped in all the details that you need to access if you want to contact us after this. But thank you so much for coming in and listening with us tonight. We hope you learned a lot of information about Commonwealth supported places and postgrad study. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Have a good evening.